not important in my scheme of what is the scheme of things that I have to deal with, the time that I have to allocate. In performing daily tasks, area 4 is where we waste the most effort. Dealing with and generally preempted by urgencies. But urgencies that involve unimportant matters, at least unimportance in reference to your priorities. Area 1 is where we usually are. Most of our time during the day deals with urgencies. The phone rang, the kid came in, I had a stomach ache, etc. And they're urgent, and I've got to stop whatever I'm doing in order to allocate time and handle that matter. If I took an extra moment and said, do I really need to do this? Do I need to do it in terms of what my priorities are, what I consider important? There are a number of things that we handle as individuals on a day-to-day basis that we wouldn't handle right now. At least we wouldn't allow ourselves to be preempted by it. We spend much of our time, and some people most of their time, dealing with what could be called crisis. Where we belong, but it gets preempted, is area 2. Items that are important, yes, is where we belong. And are not urgent. If it's important and urgent, there's no question. Okay? But area 2, which is important and not urgent, maybe I shouldn't just defer that to the end. Okay? Examples. What's important but not urgent, so I don't spend my time doing it. And therefore it's likely to be procrastinated. Next project scheduling, if you're at a business desk. Updating your will. Starting a new diet. Okay? There are issues that are important to our own evolution, our own balance in life, but because they aren't urgent, they get bottom pushback, procrastinated. The Congress, I could talk for hours on the stuff they procrastinate. So they don't get handled until they become urgencies. Well, then when they become urgencies, if they truly are important, then they go to the top of the pile. But from a time management standpoint, the objective is to manage your minutes by spending your energy on what is your important list of priorities, whether it's the yellow post-it note that you made the night before, or any other kind of list. And not be preempted by somebody who came in with a reverse delegation issue, or by not having thought through how much attention I really need to spend to get the answer, and therefore spending 80% of my time to accomplish something, to do something so it's perfect when I really didn't need to do that, or by doing something, trying to be as efficient as possible, when really all that we need is the end answer to be effective. So So time management is basically about using the right effort to achieve results. Defining the priorities, defining what really should be accomplished today, and not letting yourself get waylaid just because the phone rang. Now, if it's a kid, and the kid fell down and hurt themselves, it isn't a priority. If it's a kid whining because they didn't like the sandwich that they had for lunch, or because their brother or sister hit them, it may not be a priority that ought to preempt your time. And when statistics are taken in university analyses and by businesses that study these, what they find is when they go through, they actually do times that people keep track of what they do, and they find that these are the areas where people lose their time. So time management is about controlling your time instead of letting it control you. Does that make sense? All the techniques about write down a list and do here, post it on the refrigerator, do this, do that, do that, do that, only makes sense if you recognize that it's your thought process and your behavior that are going to limit the time that gets spent to things that matter, where you are controlling it, as opposed to letting preemptive stuff over here come in and steal your time from you. Now, I have summarized some of these comments, and I'm going to pass this out to you to take home. This was pretty rushed, and to the extent that I see some blank looks, I apologize, but that was the assignment I was given, and I'll answer any questions you want. But from a conceptual standpoint, if you take away one piece of information, it's the fact that if you can't manage your time, it's because you're not thinking about it clearly enough. And that's what I'm trying to convey. I'll say it one more time. What should you be thinking about? Not taking on, starting, let me put it this way, starting with priorities that you know you need to do for you, then thinking about how you're going to attack them before you start. You don't just get in the car and start driving necessarily to get to your next meeting. You at least look at the map in theory. You might look at what's the best route to get there. You might even look up the traffic on your computer to see what's the best way to, and you go with a plan in mind as opposed to just randomly doing it. There's I was in a class once where a professor of mine, a graduate school, said, hey, blah blah blah, vacation's coming up. I was thinking of taking a vacation, getting away for a week. Anybody? You know, let's go. Anybody available? You know, to do this and that, or what if you were available? What do you think? How should we go? What do you want to do? You want to? I've got an idea what I want to do. How should we get there? Somebody said, well, my car is. I just had my car service, and someone else said, oh, well, I was thinking an island, so I was thinking maybe going to an island. It's going to be a rough. Your car isn't really going to get us there. You got to think about the goal first, where you want to be and how to attack it, versus just go off and start doing it. Well, it's the same thing here. If you start a project on your desk, or you start doing something, and you don't think about how much this is going to preempt what else I have to do, what's going to happen is you'll get to the end of the day, and you will have preempted yourself. All right, those are the punchlines. If anything was terribly confusing, ask me. I'll try to say it again in different words, but that's as much as I thought I could communicate in a short period of time.